Greetings. This is attorney Della Welch, and our subject today will be how to vacate or set aside or cancel a order of dissolution. Now, under Google, you can Google California Code of Civil Procedure 473B. And this says the court may, that's not shall, but it may happen, upon any terms as may be just, relieve a party of his or her legal representative from a judgment, dismissal order, or other proceeding taken against him or her through his or her mistake, inadvertence, surprise, or excusable neglect. So this is the code section that you would be researching and doing it under. As an attorney, I've been able to do this procedure several times for clients, and the time period is about within 6 months. I recently heard of a case where someone wanted to get relief and cancel a dissolution of marriage order, and this person was barely within the 6 months period. Now, this motion needs to be taken very seriously, and I would request and suggest that you contact an attorney and discuss this with an attorney. This particular recording that I'm doing now is not intended to replace legal advice or advise you to do any legal procedure, but this is something you need to research by going to the self-help clinic at the court, or you can also research it by looking at the NOLO, N-O-L-O, NOLO.com books, or you can go to your local libraries, and there is a book by Rutter, R-E-U-T-T-E-R. It is a book in family law, and this would describe this motion to set aside or cancel your dissolution order. And if it was taken by default, this is the particular situation that it's intended to help. But you do need to look this over. Early in my practice, this motion was quite routinely granted, but I understand modernly it may be a little more difficult. There is also a book at your law libraries where they have Rutter, R-U-T-T-E-R, and there's a book called California Pleading and Practice, and you can research this further. There's a family code section you can Google. It's Family Code 2120, and it says, if your spouse hid key information from you, such as a major community asset, or otherwise prevented you from meaningful participating in the divorce process, you may be able to set aside your judgment based on actual fault. I've also known people who have a divorce judgment against them, and they have mental problems. Maybe they are under extreme stress and they're on medication. This also would be a basis, but it's something that you really need to research with an attorney or with a self-help clinic. Now, there is a form called Request for Order, and you can Google FL 300, and that would be a key part of bringing your motion. Leave blank the date, time, place, and judge, because that will be completed by the court. And when you also complete the FL 300 form, you can just Google FL 300, you need to complete item 8 and just put C attached, and I'll tell you how to do the law that is needed. And also complete item 10, and there's a little box. You can put C attached, motion to set aside judgment. Then what you'll need to do is you'll need to do the motion, and then you'll do the memorandum of points and authorities, which would be the legal research to support your motion. And then you would have to do the declaration of the defendant or the petitioner. And so you would write in the left-hand corner your name, such as Jane Doe, and give your address and your phone number, and write in proper, INPROPER. That means you're your own attorney. And then in the middle of the page, about 12, 12 lines down, you put in all caps, Superior Court of California, center that. And then put County of Riverside or Los Angeles or wherever your court is located. And in the corner, you'd put the caption, Jane Doe petitioner versus John Doe respondent or defendant. And then in the right, put the case number, and then put the heading, Notice of Motion and Motion to Set Aside Default and Default Judgment, comma, in all caps, Memorandum of Points and Authorities, and Declaration of Defendant. And then you would take, please take notice that defendant will move to set aside the default and any judgment thereon against defendant, and then do a new paragraph. This motion is made pursuant to California Code of Procedure 473 and is based on one or more of the following grounds. And put a colon and then number them. Do a space. Number 1, set aside default judgment within 6 months based on A, mistake, B, inadvertence, C, surprise, D, excusable neglect. And then you can put, this motion is based on the Memorandum of Points and Authorities and the Declaration of, and then you put your name, which follows, and on all other pleadings, records, and files in this action. And then double space and write in the left-hand corner dated, and put today's date, and put by, and put your name, improper, and then sign it. And then you can either start on a new page or come down about 4 spaces and center Memorandum of Points and Authorities. And then double space and put Code of Civil Procedure, Section 473B, states in relevant part, colon, and then single space that code section. The court may, comma, upon any